All right. Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let me do one last thing and turn on captions so we have a more accurate transcript for when this gets uploaded to YouTube. All right. Here we go. Final round, deciding who wins. Okay, link is there. It's also on the overall Google Doc if you need it. But the finalists for our 2024 EdTech Madness are Canva and Magic School. So honestly, I was thinking it may come down to these two just based on some other EdTech Madness brackets I was seeing online that different school districts are doing. So I'm interested to see who wins ours because I've seen it go either way. So I don't know. It was honestly very close narrowing it down to these two. Like Magic School barely edged out Adobe Express. So Canva's been a front runner in every single bracket it's been in. So interesting stuff there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get going. So we'll be looking at those two tools. I'm gonna show you some helpful features in them today, but then I'm also planning on showing you just some hands-on activities as well, time permitting, and some different ways that you can use them, maybe some lesser known features, as well as just some of the templates and inspiration for implementing them in your environment or supporting teachers in implementing them. So Canva is first up. It is our graphic design tool. And specifically, I'm going to show you some editing hacks today. So some things that make it a lot easier if you're wanting to spice up your designs in Canva and make things look a little bit better. So I actually have a secondary link for you today. And this is just if you wanted to have a copy of my slides that allows you to edit and kind of go through what I'm doing. The beautiful thing with Canva is that it gives you so many options and how you can share your links with other people. And personally, I think the template link is probably my preferred way of sharing resources with people that I make in Canva so that they have a version of it that is the same as mine, but allows them to edit and customize it. And it just saves them one more click if they do want to go in and tweak things or adjust them. So first thing we're going to look at is color syncing. All right, so this is something that I probably felt like I learned way too late in the game, but whenever you add a picture into Canva, or if you see a picture that you really like and you want that color palette to be on your Canva design, you have a couple different ways you can do this. Technically, there's the brand template that you can build in Canva. So I create a lot of stuff with BCSC logos for BCSC Tech, like we've been making flyers and things to put on LinkedIn and things like that to advertise some job postings. So I have that built out on my Canvas suite. And I'm just going to pull that up for you so you can see it. But I don't always want to use that color palette every single time, right? So I have those logos. I can easily put that on any slide I want. I can apply it and do whatever. I help a nonprofit in town too with their graphics and social media. I do the same thing. I just add our color palette onto every design that I make. But there are times where maybe I like colors, but I don't want it to necessarily be my brand template. So what I can do is drag and drop, put a picture on my screen if I want that to be on my color palette. So I can come over here, and I was actually just making some guides yesterday for Power School and Parent Portal. Like if I want this Power School Parent Portal logo and color to be on my screen, it's super easy to do. So what I can do is right click on that picture. If I see a picture on the web, I can save it and then upload it and put it over here. And then I'll do apply colors to page. And there we go. It just changed all of the colors on my Canva page that I'm working on to match the color scheme of this picture. And now what I can do is if I come over here to where I can edit the colors of this page too, I can actually see some different variations here. So if I don't like this dark blue, I can pick a different one from this color palette and apply it. I can keep on going through and changing those because now it's picking up on the colors of the picture that I just uploaded. So thought I would show you that example just because it's a really nice time saver and kind of pulls together your design to make them look pretty nice and fresh and together on your designs. And that could be a really quick one that you show your students as well if they're using it. The other features I'll show you are just some of the Magic AI ones. Like I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I really do think that these are amazing and they're going to be super helpful for you and for your students to use in the future and showing teachers that these tools are available. I think sometimes some of our students love using tools like Canva and like using tools like Adobe, but maybe they feel like they don't have a whole lot of practice or expertise in the area of graphic design, and they don't know how to make it look pretty and look cool, and they get so fixated on that that they honestly don't dig into the project because they're just so nervous about that part. And I think some of these AI tools can be super helpful in our students feeling more comfortable designing and just giving them that practice to where they're not having to go through and create every single piece, but AI can help them in doing that. It can also create just some more original looking content for their creations, having them practice using AI in a safe, ethical way. Just an amazing thing to check out. So the one thing I will say is that Magic Write is only available to staff. That is the AI writing feature in Canva. So it helps you write, helps you brainstorm. So if you're creating slides or something, it's going to pop up there and help you polish your writing, but students do not have access to that one. Students do have access to the other suite of design tools though. So AI video, AI images, Magic Switch and Resize, and the Magic Design, which Magic Design, I haven't used it a ton, but if you're on the Canva homepage and you're wanting to make a design, you just type in your topic. Magic Design can create a slide deck for you, can do all of these things to basically get your design started based on your target audience and the topic that you're presenting. So the first thing I actually want to show you, and I haven't followed these people for super long on social media. I'm kind of like, where have I been? Because they're pretty amazing. But they're called the Merrills, and they have been presenting at some tech conferences around Indiana. I think they actually are going to be at the Spark Summit this year. But they're two teachers, and they have a blog where they share a lot of resources and books and things, but they have a really nice blog post that I'm going to drop in the chat for you, where they walk through all of the different amazing AI tools that students should check out in Canva, and then also some ones that teachers should use. And I just really liked the way that they structured it. And I think it'd be a great place to point teachers, maybe you put in your newsletter, Kat, if you wanted to. I just thought they did a really good job in how they organized it. And honestly, their blog just has some really good stuff. Anyway, all right. So I want to show you two things on that that Magic AI front in Canva. So first thing I'm going to show you is just this Magic Switch and Resize. And I actually use this one all of the time for a couple of different reasons. And I'll do that before I show you Magic Morph. So yesterday, we have a technology booth that we've been setting up at different school events for families and open houses and things like that, just to get some information out to families. And I had created like a header here for a bunch of different documents that we've been using in tech, just so they look a little bit better, just to, spice things up a little bit and look a little bit more professional and to add a little bit more color to our logo. I don't personally love the maroon in our logo, so I was trying to add a little bit more elements in there. And I wanted that to be on some of the signs that I was going to be bringing to and setting up at this booth. So I already had this template here, and I'm like, I don't really want to have to type this all up again or redo it. So what I did is I came up here to Magic Resize and Switch. And what's nice is that I knew I wanted to be a flyer. So I can come over here, specify, do continue, and then it uses AI to redo my picture for me. Now I did have to go through and edit. I had a picture on the background of this, so I moved this up and then put a text box over it because I didn't want the picture to be the whole focus. But it made a copy of it for me and it made it so much nicer. And here was my finished product. So I went and edited a few things, but it saved me so much time. I didn't have to go and manipulate all of that myself. Made it so much easier. It was all good to go. And then our booth looked really nice because we had these nice flyers and things, and it took me minimal time to go and do it. So that's why I love Resize and Magic Switch, is you can take any design you have made and convert it. So we have some teachers who like to make really nice looking headers for their Canvas courses in Canva, and maybe they want to add those into other places in their course, like slides or buttons. Honestly, they could go and do Resize and Magic Switch and adjust them a little bit. So if they have a consistent theme and color palette they want to use in their course, they can do that. Now, these are just certainly more cosmetic type of things, but I like to have consistency and to have things look a certain way. And I think this is just a really helpful hack in doing that. And it's been saving me a ton of time lately. And then Magic Morph is the little GIF that's on the screen right now. So you can type in any word on Canva, like this is just a text box, and then you go over to your apps and you search Magic Morph, like what it's doing on the screen. It's the first one that pops up. and then you select how you want that word to look. So they almost made it look like birthday balloons. So that could be a fun thing for students. Maybe whenever it is their birthday, you make a little slide and it looks like that and has their name on it. Or the students go through and you have this as an option for their projects, just adding some texture and some more depth to some of the words and activities that they're doing. I saw where a teacher, I do believe it was more elementary, went and made different words, and they were the sight words for the kids that week. And she had added in letters that kind of went along with what the words meant. So it was kind of like reinforcing the vocab in addition to teaching the words themselves. All right, next part is if you wanted to follow along with me and how to do this in Canva, I'm just going to show you how you can spruce up and spice up your designs a little bit with some things that I've learned along the way. So in designing in Canva, really the world is your oyster, but sometimes adding in some texture can create some depth and just make your designs pop and look a little bit better. So I like to use probably about 2 different fonts on my designs. If you do more than 2 different font styles, it starts to get too busy and the eyes get overwhelmed. So I always like to do like a thinner font and then a thicker one like this. League Spartan is probably my favorite one on Canva. I use that one a lot. You've seen it basically on every single one of the slides that I've done. And I also like this one. It's called Brittany, which is kind of close to my name. I like those 2 together. I just feel like it looks really good. But texture and depth are another piece to add. So I have a few examples of them on here, just some different like nice little background things that I've added. So honestly, what I do is I go over here to elements and I will just search texture. And it's smart. It already started pulling some up because it saw what I had on the screen. And I'll go see all. And if I just wanted to add in a little bit more to my drawings, I can add it on here, change the color, and then maybe I put this in the background. And now I have that as a little bit more of a pattern on my design. So it just makes things pop a little bit more. I was a art major in college for like a brief moment. So like I geek out over this stuff, and that's probably why I love Canva so much. I'm not trying to sway anyone's vote, but it like brings me back to those days of balancing that.
I didn't know that about you. I learned
Yeah.
something new. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
I was an art nerd in high school. Like
nice. Yeah. It makes sense. So
first.
you do always have amazing presentations that are very arty and pretty.
Yep, yep. I took every art class that North High School offered, to the
Oh,
point to where
nice.
I had taken all of them by the time I was a junior and was like, I still want to take more. So they created independent art study for
Oh,
me. And it was with
nice.
Leslie
So,
Weaver, and like I was in
yeah,
there with her other classes just working on my own projects.
very cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just one thing you can do is add in the texture. The other thing that I do is add in some like blurs as well, because it kind of makes the words pop. So if you come over here, just do blur again, same thing. It's a matter of figuring out like kind of vague terms that you want to search and then finding graphics and designs that go with them and adding them in. So adding in some contrast there as well. And different colors too. I usually don't put a bright color in like this one. I usually try to stick to ones that are more like a light white or a black, just so it's easier on the eyes, but you can add in probably 2 different colors on a screen. It won't be too much for you. But as you go through, when you add in these pieces, here are some other things to know in Canva that might speed up your design. And honestly, I think this is included in one of the lessons they have built out on Canva, and that lesson plan suite for teachers that walks students through how to get familiar with these keyboard shortcuts. And I do believe it's geared towards high school students, so it could be a really good advisory lesson. But knowing the keyboard shortcuts in Canva has been a total game changer. I will say that they are slightly different than like Google. So control and then the arrow is what moves things forward and backwards and layers in Google. And I kept trying to do that on Canva, and I was like, why is it not working? And it's because it's different. So it's like this bracket parentheses is how you send things backwards. And then the other version of that is how you send things all the way to the back or all the way forward. So that just makes it a little bit more efficient. You can always right click, layer, bring things forward and backward that way. But if you wanted to practice, like I'm going to practice with the circle right now, if I wanted to send this backwards, I can just keep pressing or send it forward, whatever I need to do. So kind of an option there. The Control Z is always undo, so that's kind of nice. Control A moves everything on your screen. Control on an image allows you to move wherever you want it to be on the screen a little bit easier. Shift R brings up the rulers and grid lines. So if you want things to be very precise or a very similar size, that's helpful. And then if you just tap the, like not, I guess the slash button, it brings up the magic menu and text. So it actually brings up some frequently used things that you use, but also ones that other Canva users are using pretty often. I use that one all the time, and that was one I didn't know about until recently. I was always like clicking over here and opening a menu, and just saved me some time. So for sake of time, I'm not going to walk through too many more of those things, but it's there. So I have a couple slides on here where if you wanted to practice doing that, so moving things forward, moving things backwards, you can, adding in some different texture and pieces. It's all there if you would like. You can move things around, do whatever you need to do, just kind of an option there for you. So I actually pulled these slides from a more in-depth Canva session I do that I honestly need to offer here in BCSC because I don't think I've done it. But walks you through some of those keyboard shortcuts and gives you practice. The other thing is just the ruler and grid lines. So I don't use this a ton on slides presentations, but I certainly do use it on like bigger like poster or social media graphic type of things, just because they're a little bit longer. So it's harder for me to gauge like where things are positioned on the screen. But if you ever wanted to see that, it's easy to do. Over here in the file menu, you can also access it from there. Easy to do. And the last thing, it's just aligning and tidying up. So this is another one that I felt like I learned about way too late in the game, because I was always trying to like line things up precisely. And I'm like, why did I not know about this after I spent hours one day trying to get all of these little things to look a certain way? So you can select, or at least like go over a whole section of shapes or words or basically pictures, anything you have on a Canva design. And then you right click and there's a button called Align. And you can
So easy.
and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's great. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
So when I made the presentation for this big grant presentation we had to do the other day, I put all of the flags of the different countries that represent our students in BCSC, and they were like all over the place. And I'm like, I'm going to use that Align thing and
Yes.
actually remember that it's there instead of sitting here and dragging. And it took 2 seconds. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. Made me so happy. And there's a slide if you wanted to practice that on the template link. Last few things in Canva, and then we're going into Magic School. You can present with a phone on Canva. So if you ever forget your clicker or you need one, when you go into presentation mode on a Canva presentation, it's on the More menu at the bottom. You can share remote control, gives you a QR code. You can present it. Just know that I maybe wouldn't put that QR code in front of a whole room full of students, because if they're really quick, they could scan it and then they're running your presentation for you, which is probably not what you want. The other pieces on here is how easy it is to share your Canva designs to your Google Drive if you need to share things that way. But a lesser known piece is you can also bring in your Google Drive designs into Canva as well. Now, I'll preface that by saying it doesn't always work perfectly. I mean, these are two competitors we're trying to get to work together. But this is something that I've done if I already have a presentation started in my Google Drive, or I just want to make it look a little bit prettier and I have the meat of it done, then I usually go and do this. So if I pull up my Canva and I'm going to come over here on the left-hand side and I'm going to click projects, it's hidden. It's very hidden where you can find this. Have you done this before?
I haven't. No, this is new.
Yeah. So if you go to your projects button, and then there's the add new over here on the right-hand side, and I go import from app, you'll have to connect your drive, but that's how you add in your files. So if let me think here, what is something I've done recently? So it does this right here. It says it's uploading. Usually it's right here. It does take a little bit. And the thing that does kind of drive me crazy sometimes is like it disappears while it's uploading. And I'm like, okay, where is it? So sometimes you have to sit here and wait a few minutes or refresh the page, but eventually it will show up. There were some times where I had like a really big slideshow presentation file that I was trying to add here, and it had all kinds of like GIFs and all these things. And I think all of the GIFs I had on it made it not load. And that was on me. I was trying to be extra. Probably should have deleted those before I tried to pull it into Canva. But it allows you to pull in your Google Drive designs, so then you can edit them and adjust them in Canva and make them look better. I actually did that when I was making all of the slides for the 12 Days of Tech. So I had built out some things in Google, but I wanted to make them look prettier on Canva, and I'd already made like a cover slide. So I pulled them into here, and that's what I used to finalize it. So if you're in the process of like converting things to Canva, or if you want to start using it a little bit more, then you have a little bit of that flexibility. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the last thing in Canva, and then we're done. I feel like I keep saying that, but this is actually the last thing. This is another thing that I feel like I didn't know about until not that long ago. So you can make websites in Canva, and they look really, really nice. And they're honestly not that difficult to do, partly because the websites in Canva, it's almost like you're building a slideshow presentation, and then it converts it into a nice scrolling website. So if you want to see an example of what one looks like, the conference website for the Indiana Connected Educators website is actually built in Canva because my friend Nadine, I actually feel like everything I know about Canva, I've learned from her. And she built it. Like, look at how good this is. She's impressive.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, like this is a website. It's nice scrolling. There's not like you can add more pages here at the top, but it just takes you to these different sections. Like if you need to come down here, jumps you there, and it just looks nice. So super easy to make. It really is set up just like a slideshow presentation. Very easy to do. And there's lots of templates. So I've actually been tinkering with those over the last few days to get some practice. But if I just go to my home in Canva, it's up here at the top, websites, or you can just keep scrolling through if it's not there and it doesn't show up for you right away. But there's some nice templates and things there, and it's easy. There's a link that it generates at the beginning. And if you're ready to publish it, publish the button and share that out with the world, and it's yours. And it's collaborative. So if you want students to be working together on something, they can easily do that. All right, moving onward to Magic School, and I'm going to skip through those last slides because we already covered those last time. All right, so Magic School, we know it's amazing AI tool. And I got to thinking, why not leverage this tool to help teachers with implementing blended learning models? So we know that book study was super popular last year. The one this year, we have a lot of people signing up. And I feel like a lot of teachers were like, oh, I love this. And they could see how it worked with some of the examples that we gave them. But I've had a few teachers reach out since then and are like, I'm still trying to think about how this looks in my classroom or how I can implement it with this particular lesson. And I honestly think that's where AI can be so helpful for us, is by giving us those tips and tools on how to design a lesson, because I mean, it's not going to go into depth with bias and it's going to be really quick in doing that. Giving you ideas on the fly. So again, you can always go through and favorite those different tools, the ones that you like to use most often. But I think the Raina chatbot could be a helpful option in planning a lesson through a blended lens. And maybe if you have a lesson that works really great already, like maybe you have a stations activity and you just want to rework it and think about how can I make this more like a blended model where I have stations and students are doing different activities, or I've given them options and how they can do things, but I want to make sure there's a station where I can give some support, or how can I rethink this to where I can give more guided practice to students and work with them one-on-one. So I do have this little informational slideshow linked here if you needed that again. It's really from this summer about this particular tool, but I was thinking that maybe teachers could go to the Raina chatbot and say, I'm doing a lesson on dynasties.
Well, and even adding, because the students can use adding Magic School student version as a part of your station is a
Exactly.
good idea too.
You're reading my mind. That was my next slide.
We're on the same wavelength. I wonder why. I mean, we talk about the same things all the time.
Yeah, so here we go.
Yeah.
Gives me some different stations. You know, obviously, I would probably go in and give a more specific goal. Like if I knew what my learning goal was, then I could type that in and say, I want stations to align with this. So it's
This is
nice. They can
making
come up with
me,
those.
I feel like this is going to make us feel like planning this book study this summer is going to be a breeze with
Yes,
these, because we did great last summer, but like this is going to, it's just going to leverage it.
agreed. It gives us a lot of opportunities to weave in these tools so teachers can
Yeah.
see how practical and helpful they are. Like I think there's some excitement around them, but it's not necessarily been as clear the connection on this is how you can use
Oh,
it every day and make your lessons better. And
yeah.
this is how you can bring in blended learning with it and it not seem like you have to rework every single lesson or
Yeah.
spend hours doing that.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I know, I know. I was like, why didn't I have this epiphany before?
Yeah.
Here we are, you
Oh,
know, it
you're
is what
there.
it is.
You got there though. You got there
Yeah,
though.
it took me a little bit, but I'm there now. The cool thing too is that, after you go through and you make this, then I could copy and paste all of this and have it go to the generator that's for writing instructions, paste it in and say, write instructions for these different stations in
Yeah,
student-friendly language. And now I have that part done too. Makes it so easy.
love it.
Yeah, yeah. So here we go. See, you were right there with me.
Yep.
Why not use some of those different tools to help you plan, but then also bring it in to where students are using them? And I think there's also some really great ideas here if you're wanting to give students options on how to do a project. The only thing I will say is I'm very picky on choice boards, and I don't
Mhm.
necessarily feel like the AI tools are up to the standards of what I think they should be. When they come up with a choice board, I don't think that the options it gives you are always necessarily clearly aligned with the learning goal. But I do think it
Mhm.
gives you a couple that you could certainly work with. So if it's a
Yeah.
lesson where you're like, ugh, I don't have a whole lot of choice here, how can I give a little bit more and elevate it? It's a great thing to do. But I always would say that if teachers go to that tool and are looking at it, that you make sure that the options you're giving make sense for the learning goal that you've put out there for students, and that you know how to effectively measure whether they've reached that goal with the options that you've given.
It could also be a little misleading because I think people are expecting to get the choice board, and it really just gives you the ideas, and then you have to make, use a template to make the board or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
not in
think
the ready to use format quite
right,
yet.
right.
Down
Maybe
the
you could put
road,
it in
maybe.
Diffit. Maybe Diffit could make a choice board.
I know. We should tell them that.
Yeah, maybe we should. You did mention that,
Should.
right? That she's like always taking suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah. We should.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. We will. Let's do it. I love that idea. All right. Yeah. And here's just more ideas. So this is one of the newer generators they added. And this actually, if you're like, I want to use Magic Student, but I'm not really sure how I should use it with my students, it
We're
gives
just
you
making it easier
ideas.
and easier. This is great.
I know, I know. And then this wall of love on Magic School is also great if you're wanting to give yourself some ideas and pointers. Now, a lot of it is certainly just people taking screenshots of PD they've done and being like, I love Magic School. But there's
Yeah.
certainly ones on here that are like, I used this with my students in this grade level today and it went really well. So it just can spark off some ideas like this one. These kids used it for a music class. This one to debate AI and ethics, which I think is funny because they were using an
It's
AI
using
bot
AI.
to debate
Yeah.
AI ethics. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like AI bot inception right there, really, really going in deep. But just some different options and things, ideas if you want them.
And I feel there are certain subject areas that are like, this doesn't work for me. I wouldn't be able to do this. But even like John sometimes will be like, I don't know how to apply this to a math class. And yeah, just to try to help him get a little bit more ideas with that would be
Mhm,
good.
mhm. And I think if he approached it too from like the blended
Mhm.
model, like wanting to
Yeah.
use this to help plan with that, like if he already has some specific things he's wanting his students to do, then you can still do those, but rethinking the format of how that lesson is delivered, and this tool can certainly help with that. I always think I have a hard time like thinking of stuff for math teachers too, because
Yeah.
it was just so different from my content area and just some of the stuff that they need to do in practice. Like it's so much more of a skills based, whereas social studies is more like content
Right.
focused. But I have seen lots of examples of math teachers on there, honestly, using it, which is exciting.
Yeah.
All right. And then last little blended learning piece I thought of too is thinking about some of those blended learning models. Honestly, you could use Magic School for any one of them, but the playlist model I think is also a really good opportunity for using an AI tool like Magic School. So we know playlist model is where you give students a lot of flexibility. So you kind of set out, here's a roadmap of things that I really want you to work through and do today. I linked a planning guide here and here, and there's a few other examples and templates in that green playlist learning link up there. But it walks you through like, I want you to cover these activities, do them at your own pace. And then maybe at one point in the playlist, you have an opportunity for the student to check in with the teacher. So when I envision this, I had my students do some different projects, and we did like a research essay at one point in my class. The students had flexibility on the topic that they picked within a whole unit. Like they honestly picked who they wanted to research, but they really needed to get some practice and forming a historical argument with evidence and claims. And that was one of my standards. So it's not like, You can show that in different ways, but I do need to see some writing those kids needed to do. So in doing that project, I probably could have used a model like this because I was having the students conference with each other, which is fine, but I also could have been giving them more meaningful feedback throughout this process if I had used a playlist model where there was built-in checkpoints, because they're all going to finish at different times. And I can use chat bots for the students. I can set one up to where it's helping them with research. If I have kids who are further along, I can help them with feedback. I can set up a general Raina bot for students who are maybe just needing some advice on what they should do or rethink things on their essay. Then as they're doing that, maybe I'm calling students up one by one, looking through their essay, conferencing with them, and it just frees up some space for me and gives students some flexibility in what they can do. So I really do think it can help with the playlist model as well. All right, and then again, just more customization features. I added in even more this week, so you can really target even more standards, grade levels, content you want students to master when you set up those student-facing chatbots in Magic School. All right, I think that is technically it. And we're only like 2 minutes behind. It's not bad at all. All
Not bad
right,
at all.
not bad.
Now, how in the
Well,
world do you make a choice with all of these great ones?
I know, I really don't envy you this time.
Ugh.
So voting link is there. We're gonna see who wins.
Oh boy. Because Canva is, I love it.